All right, so this one is highlighting kind of more, again, those pantry staples type of things. So things that you might have in your pantry that have been there for a while and you want to use. But also, as Hannah had mentioned earlier, after surgery, you might not feel up for doing lots of cooking. You want to make things, so this is a really great assembly and also something to have on hand. So often we talk about batch cooking, the ability to freeze things, to have things in advance. And, maybe you're not going out and about so much these days, but whether you're sitting home or actually, going for walks because the weather's getting nicer or, you're running errands, it is really great to have snacks on hand. Okay, so we find that a lot of times people, they don't feel like eating, they're tired. So having those snacks throughout the day is really, really important. And so this dish focuses on, it's an oat bake. It's actually one of my favorites because it's super easy to make. I have it for sometimes breakfast with some fruit and maybe, a latte or something, or I'll have it as a snack. Okay, and again, we're focusing on that low residue. So oats are really a great type of fiber to help form your stool. Okay, so this is something that, again, a lot of people might want to incorporate in their day-to-day because it is helpful.
Also for treatments, right? Like, if you're going through chemo treatments, radiation, whatever, like your appetite's going to be a little bit wonky that day. So, you need to have a bag of stuff, hydration, whatever, and tiny snacks. And this sounds like it's a perfect one for that.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. So that's exactly what we're going for here.
Great.
We wanted to create sort of that, portable snack that you can have on the go. And also, again, going back to that point that Stephanie made around pantry items and, thinking about what are some of those essential things to have stocked in your pantry, even in the freezer. I consider freezer as part of that pantry category as well, just to make the cooking process a lot easier. So things like oats are great. We use them quite a bit, not just for oatmeal. Actually, I rarely use them for oatmeal anymore. We use them in cookies. We use them in, baked goods. There's really, really
for different types of chicken or fish or.
Exactly. There's a nice little breadcrumb coating on the outside.
Oh.
So great, a versatile ingredient to have in your pantry. And then canned, ingredients, things that will last a long time. So today we're using pumpkin puree for our recipe here. But you can easily use, canned, pears or peaches or, have some of these things. Yeah, exactly. And then you can throw them into, some baked goods or your recipes just to make, again, a lot of that prep, a lot of that process a lot easier. So for these ones here, super simple. We're going to start off with our wet ingredients. All right, so we have a bowl here. So I'm going with 2 eggs in here. Now, we're adding the eggs. You can use they have you can do like a vegan egg too if you want.
Flax egg?
Yeah, exactly. You can do like a flax egg if you want, something like that. That'll work. But we're going with the whole eggs here. And I'm going to add about 2 cups. Actually, I'll whisk this up real quick. And I'm adding about 2 cups of canned pumpkin. Now, if you don't have canned pumpkin, you can also make this like a sweet potato puree. So if you
you could use bananas.
Banana will work really well. Yeah, just keep the volumes, the measures the same. But otherwise, it's definitely very versatile. All right, so that's about 2 cups. So try to get most of it out. All right, I'll mix that. Try to incorporate the egg and that pumpkin puree. The egg's just going to help it set as well, so it's important that it's there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sweetness, about 4 tablespoons of maple syrup. Again, for the size of the final product, it makes quite a bit. So it's not that much. And then some spices. So for this one here, or which camera? We're going with this one here. There we go. We have some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and some ground ginger. And that's going to go in. Again, maple syrup, easy to, keep long storage. You can have that in your pantry. These spices, again, those are great to have in the pantry. Hannah, what are some of your favorite spices to have on hand?
That is a very good question. So when it comes to that, I mean, cinnamon is a huge staple in our home here. We're a little bit cinnamon obsessed. Some allspice, a little bit of nutmeg, maybe. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Really, really nice. Yeah, those would work really, really well in something like this. And then to add a little bit more moisture, this is optional, but I'm going to grate an apple into here. Now, this is an apple too, just, you can obviously leave the skin on, but going with sort of our theme before, this is an apple that we peeled and the seeds are removed. And I'm just going to take a grater and we'll put that in there. And that's just going to give it some nice flavor, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of tartness. I used a poorly planned, I used a very fine grater. That's why it's taking me forever to grate. Use like a cheese grater, a box grater would work really, really well.
Any tips on not grating your fingers? I'm a pro at that one.
So once you start to get close, switch to the palm of your hand.
Thank you.
Keep the fingers out of the way. And then as your palm gets a little closer, it's should stay intact. Should come out cut free.
And if you get a piece of skin in there, it's protein, right, Steph? I guess. Sorry.
I mean, if you're the one who's eating it.
Speaking of protein, actually, I have a quick question. So,
Sure.
With cancer treatments, often chemo, whatever, this will cause a lot of muscle wasting. So, can we adding, let's say, a protein powder? I mean, is that an option?
Sure. Absolutely. And, really making every bite count is what, you want to aim for. And so adding protein whenever you can is a great idea. So, you could add like a protein powder into this dish even. There are nutritional supplements if you wanted to add it in and bake with it. I think Jer had added some eggs in this dish. So that obviously is a protein. If you want to add some nuts and seeds, if you're able to tolerate them, great idea. Sometimes people add like nut butters, right, that are smooth, because that way you're not getting that fiber that sometimes people don't respond well to. The other thing is kind of thinking about balancing those meals and making sure that, you're getting calcium and vitamin D. So, you might not want to have like cow's milk because, again, that lactose might, for some people, irritate and kind of make increase output. But like a soy milk is great in protein, or lactose-free milk might be a good idea in order to, add in that protein. So, yeah, there's certainly lots of options here. And that's a great point. You really want to make sure that you have protein every time that you eat, whether that's a snack or a meal, especially if you're feeling fatigued or having a appetite loss, like if you don't feel like eating. What is one of your favorite protein go-tos, Hannah? Oh, I think you're muted.
Yes. So no one hears all the goings on in my home. So yeah, some of my favorite add-ons are, I like almond butter. I personally love, I don't know if I should plug this company, but it's Vega is the protein powder that I use. It's vanilla flavored. Yeah, it's really great. When I was going through treatments, I was prescribed Beneprotein. So, it's just a little sprinkle, but I find the Vega is just a lot more tasty. And it's great because it's sweetened. So, yeah.
Yeah, then a protein is kind of a neutral, but again, depending on what you want and what you want to use it for, there are so many different options. But yeah, like you said, like the tip is adding a protein powder that might work for you.
Great.
And any of those items that you both suggested would work fantastic in here. This is the point where you would want to add it to the wet mixture. So if it was a protein powder, you can mix it in. An almond butter would be amazing in this. You can definitely add, a scoop, a good scoop of that and mix it in. When I'm making this at home, maybe some dark chocolate chips, you throw it in there. Beautiful.
How about bananas, Jeremy? I mean, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, bananas for sure. Just with bananas, because it's going to add some moisture as well. Just play around with. Make sure the volumes are again. This is not like. This is a really easy recipe. It has a lot of room for forgiveness and adding and subtracting. But if you're gonna add like a whole banana, maybe add an extra half a cup of oats just to compensate for that.
Oh, good to know.
And to that point, I'm going to go ahead and add my oats. And I have about 3 cups. These are flaked oats. You can add, the quick cooked ones too, that they're just pulsed a little bit further, which is actually what I did here. So these aren't the large flaked ones. I just had the quick cooked ones, and they're just broken down a little bit more. We're going to add 3 cups of that and mix it together. So again, not super difficult. You don't really have to take your knife out for anything. A lot of these items are all pantry items. These are things that you can have in the pantry, and that way you can put this together pretty easily. And we're also making a big batch. So, thinking about that meal planning, thinking about what can we do in advance to set us up with little snacks when we're not feeling or we don't have the energy to make, these meals and snacks, is make a bigger batch like this. And then this will, freeze really, really well. You can pre-portion it, freeze really, really well. And that way you have some easy snacks on the go. All right, so that's pretty much it. Mix it all together to combine. We have our mixture here. And then I'm going to put that into our baking tray or pan or whatever that is. And I'll show you a little trick here. So I just had a big pan. But you can do a tray. This is just what I had. But another little trick, parchment. We use parchment for quite a bit in this class because it does help to reduce the amount of cleanup afterwards. And when you're, especially if you're dealing with fatigue, you don't want to be wasting a lot of time cleaning up or energy. So what we do is take a piece of parchment, and I'm going to run it under water just to crunch it up a little bit. And we'll squeeze out some of that water. Okay, just so we can kind of crunch it up into this like little paper ball. All right, and then we'll unravel it. And this will make it a lot more malleable, a lot more flexible, so that we can actually tuck it in to like a sort of a deeper pan, something with a lip on it. And then we will really easily just pour all of that mixture inside. Okay. And we're just going to spread it thin. Now again, you can definitely like shape this into like individual cookies if you want, but this is just going to make it a lot easier. We're going to cook it all together as one giant piece, and then we can cut it afterwards. Just try to make sure that it's consistent in terms of the thickness. That way it cooks evenly. All right. So
what I love to add to it are chocolate chips. If you want to put some of those in, I'm not sure in this situation for those undergoing, with a diagnosis of colorectal cancer, like dried fruit might not be the best option just because the high amounts of fiber there. But again, everybody's different, and you'd have to kind of know what's right for you and how much fiber you are allowed to have.
Yeah, overdosing on those dried apricots could definitely be an issue, but it adds to sweetness, I guess. So you can maybe cut down on the maple syrup, like depending on, I guess.
Absolutely.
And that's it. So that's going to go into the oven.
Looks good.
75 degrees for about 30 minutes. Okay. and then let it cool. And let it set.
Ooh, yum.
Our Magic TV one ready here. And what's nice, again,
Oh, cool.
that pulls out right out of the pan, makes it so much easier to clean. And I cut this one in half earlier, but you can see
Jer,
it pulls together.
yeah, it looks great. So when I make it, the texture is kind of like mushy-ish. Is yours harder? Like, what's the texture? Because we're not able to sample here.
It's firm-ish. It's not dry.
Gotcha.
But it has some nice texture to it. It has some nice texture to it. So I guess if you did want it to be a little softer, definitely add more moisture, cut back on the oats. And then if you did like it,
is it a granola bar type of thing, like hard, or?
it would be, I would say, the consistency of like an oatmeal cookie.
Cool.
Like a soft oatmeal cookie. So it doesn't have a crunch. There's no crunch or crisp. Yeah.
That's great.
And you cut them up. What's nice, again, it comes out whole like this. As it
Beautiful.
cools, and then cut them up into whatever nice little shaped pieces or bars that you like, that's manageable, right? And then freeze them solid on a pan, and then you can transfer them to a freezer bag. And then, kind of like you mentioned, if someone needs to bring something like this to an appointment, or if you're going to work or school, whatever it is, take it out of the freezer. You can warm it up in the microwave or in the oven if you want after, but otherwise it's really easy, very convenient, and ready to go. And there we go. There is
Wow.
our oat bake. Really easy.